Recently, I got into a lengthy conversation with Critters Rule 247 about the ages of the main six. We talked about some of our thoughts and even pointed out pieces of evidence from the show. Overall, I thought the subject was rather intriguing, and I thought that I should put both sides of the discussion into a video and see what each of you think. This is a little different from most of my previous videos, but I wanted to see how well this kind of format works. For the discussion, I will start with an image of Dr. Wolf from my point of view, and use this image of Twilight Sparkle for Critter's point of view. Personally, I still get the sense that the main six really are around high school age, and that actually has more to do with the fact that the whole of Equestria seems to put a lot of emphasis on young ponies to find what they are best at while they are still in elementary school. I believe there is a great difference between our world and that of Equestria, where you see ponies of a younger age acting more like mature adults because they are expected to act that way. I could compare it to certain people in our world, like seeing a 15-year-old who acts like a 25-year-old because they have learned about responsibility and maturity at a younger age. And likewise, you could easily find many 25-year-olds who act like 15-year-olds simply because they haven't been given that responsibility or learned that maturity, or because they just didn't want to. Although the cutie mark is still a very important event in a pony's life, its celebration is more of a tradition than an expectation of your future. I mean, look at Rainbow Dash. Even though she got her cutie mark at a very early age and it is about her passion of racing and competitive sports, she did not let it define her career. She still became the weather team manager, which is kind of like the rock star getting a desk job. When she got her cutie mark, she was in junior flight camp. That must mean that there is a higher level flight camp for those who want to achieve a more athletic scholarship, and a different type of school altogether to get a job as weather manager, which must be a lot higher and longer to pass than just average school as it requires learning something that has nothing to do with your special talent. And I assume there must be a regular Earth Pony high school for jobs that require doing something outside the range of your cutie mark. We simply do not see such a place because none of our main characters are at the age where it is necessary to show a high school. They are either adults like our main six who have jobs and live independently, or kids like the CMC who live with their parents. Even with Rainbow Dash, it does make sense that she had more flight training beyond what we saw in the Cutie Mark Chronicles. After all, Rainbow and Gilda had talked about Junior Speedster's flight camp, so that would be a logical next step. And it would make sense that she could also have learned how to manage weather there. However, I'm still not convinced that the main six are really adults. At least, as of yet. It seems to me that equestrian society really does expect ponies to be independent and working on their own at a younger age than in our world. Rainbow may have had some years of flight training, but I could still see that as only 5 to 8 years worth that would have started soon after Call of the Cutie. And even if you think that Rainbow was 8 or even 10 during that episode, then 5 to 8 years after that point would still make her high school age. I honestly believe that in the circumstances of equestrian culture, this sort of thing exists. Ponies are becoming independent at an earlier age. It may not be proven as fact, but the evidence I've seen does tend to point towards that direction. Particularly with Rainbow Dash yet again. During Sonic Rainboom, she is able to wow the Wonderbolts and even spend some time training with them. But you have to wonder, why isn't Rainbow already applying to be part of the Wonderbolts? Or why aren't the Wonderbolts even trying to convince Rainbow to join up? It isn't until Season 3 that she gets that chance. But considering that this has been Rainbow's dream for much of her life, you'd think that she would attempt to join the Wonderbolts as soon as she was able. And the only reason I can think of as to why it took her that long to apply was because she wasn't old enough. Going back to Sonic Rainboom, there is another bit of evidence to support this. Rainbow is taking part in the Best Young Flyers competition. Not competing with adults from all over Cloudsdale, but other young ponies. I still think they might be young adults and not teenagers. For one thing, they are all old enough to drink, as seen in Super Speedy Cider Squeezy 6000. And if we look at the Cutie Mark Chronicles, we see Applejack and Big Mac as young ponies, around Applebloom's age. We can guess that they are roughly the same age here. With Big Mac being bigger because, well, he's Big Mac. But he is only as big as Fluttershy, which could mean a growth spurt rather than meaning an age difference. And we can both agree Big Mac is an adult, there's no question. otherwise he couldn't date Charilee. And we have to assume she is the same age as the main six as they seem to be the same size. They show no differentiation on how they speak to each other. In Showstoppers, we clearly see her getting books from Twilight because Twilight is a librarian and it's her job. Again, a job that has nothing to do with her cutie mark but rather a passion. And Charilee treating Twilight how you would treat a woman of business. And we see this similar behavior in Family Appreciation Day, where Applejack is a clear candidate for someone a young filly can bring to school and talk about their career because she is an adult. My main point is, if Charilee is not an adult when clearly being the same age as the main six, then that means Big Mac is dating a teenager, and we really don't want to think of him that way. I suppose I can understand why you believe that Applejack and Big Mac are about the same age. It could very well be that he started growing faster than Applejack did. However, it could also be that he is a few years older than Applejack, and being male actually hit his growth spurt later than Applejack would have. Even if Big Mac was about the same size as Fluttershy at that point, Fluttershy being female could potentially still be younger, as Big Mac may not have hit that growth spurt yet. As for Miss Charilee, I'm still getting the sense that she is also a fair bit older than the main six. The fact that she seems to be about the same size is not quite enough information. After all, there are many examples of 17-year-olds passing for 22-year-olds in our world, as well as 25-year-olds passing for 18-year-olds. I get the sense that the main pony model that we see most in the show covers a broad range of ages, like anywhere from mid-teens to late 20s. We do see several examples of middle-aged ponies like Mr. and Mrs. Cake, but the lack of teenager pony models in the show really does suggest to me that the standard pony model really does include teenagers. Which again goes to show just how different equestrian society is, showing that even teenager ponies are working and living independently. I must also point out that Charilee is in the play that Rarity designed the costumes for, which places the two of them at roughly the same age. And if you remember in Call of the Cutie, we see Charilee at a teenage stage of her life, meaning she must be an adult now and that at least Rarity must be the same age as her. Although I do believe Rarity to be the oldest among the main six along with Fluttershy, give or take a few months. As for me, I'm still not quite convinced that the main six are comparable to 20-something adults from our world, at least not yet. I can see that possibility, but I still believe that the main six are younger than that. Not by much, but still younger. But I was still glad to be getting into this kind of conversation with Critters. He provided an interesting point of view and was even able to come up with some evidence to back up his theories. But what do each of you think? Does it make more sense that the main six are of high school age? Or does the fact that they are living on their own and working independently make them older? I would like to hear your thoughts about this topic, or even if you have some evidence of your own that might help us to learn even more. I am Dr. Wolf, and I look forward to hearing from you.